Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today's video is going to be a fun one. In today's video, we're taking a look at a battler who's using their SHUNDO PUMPKABOO to absolutely cook meta teams. Now, it goes without saying, PUMPKABOO is not a Pokemon that's recommended for gaining Elo. However, this trainer is still able to go very positive in spite of that fact. Now, these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Professor Baza, so many thanks for the battle submission. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's take a look at SHUNDO PUMPKABOO versus meta teams in the Open Great League. Hopping into the first match, off to a terrible start, leading the PUMPKABOO into Wigglytuff, and this PUMPKABOO is running Astonish, which means his fast move would be double resisted there. A safe switch into Hippowdon is going to lure out a Drifblim, and it is the Shadow Drifblim as well. First Weather Ball Rock is going to be shielded. Hippowdon going for Weather Ball Rock number 2, and that deals some pretty substantial damage. Hippowdon going to commit the shield. Hippowdon knows that it can play for switch or shield advantage, and honestly, either one will be pretty nice. Hippowdon is going to fire off another Weather Ball, and there's the final shield from the opponent. You can't really afford to take moves on the PUMPKABOO, so it definitely makes sense to bring in the Licky. Licky, more than happy to tank moves, go for a farm down. Opponent says no, quick switch back into the Wigglytuff, and Wigglytuff is going to win CMP over the Licky. Licky is going to commit the shield, wanting to preserve some HP. Being able to tank more charms and get to another Earthquake would be absolutely massive, as the Earthquakes have been debuffed, but it looks like, even despite that fact, a second Earthquake might be enough to knock out here. This will be close. Earthquake is going to pick up the KO. The switch to the PUMPKABOO. It's Gastrodon in the back. This game is over. In comes the Drifblim. That gets Astonished down, and this is going to be good night to the Gastrodon. SHUNDO PUMPKABOO, one-hit KO, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading PUMPKABOO into Charjabug. This matchup, honestly, not bad for the PUMPKABOO. Astonishes will add up quite substantially. Volt switches are going to be resisted. Opponent does give an Astonish for free, but honestly, I don't fault someone for throwing on alignment against the PUMPKABOO, because honestly, who had any idea what moveset this had prior to clicking on this video? The Foul Play is going to connect, dealing some pretty nice damage. We're going to see a safe switch into Hippowdon to catch the X-Scissor. X-Scissor is going to connect. Opponent is going to send out the Shadow Marowak. Shadow Marowak is now going to be met with the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands will do quite a bit of damage. Opponent is going to commit the shield, and it's a CMP tie. That's very unfortunate for the opponent. Bone Club did get the attack drop. That does allow the opponent a little bit of extra farm, but now back in comes the PUMPKABOO. PUMPKABOO is going to win the CMP tie over the Marowak, going for the Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to land, and Marowak gets KO. In the back is Starmie. Starmie looking for a Psywave down. They switch out, and that proves to be a huge mistake, as now they're going to get hit with a Grass Knot. Grass Knot, they have to respect it or it would KO, but now you can just bring in Licky, and Starmie, too low, not nearly enough energy. They will concede the match. Picking up a Nightmare lead in the next match, PUMPKABOO into Moltres. We see the safe switch to Hippowdon, answered with Shadow Feraligatr. Oh no. This opponent doesn't know that Hippowdon wins the 2s versus Feraligatr. Oh, this opponent is about to have a very unfortunate day. Hippowdon cleanly wins the 2s here. We are going to see a shield from the opponent, and now Hippowdon more than happy to double shield. Hippowdon does need to land a Scorching Sands to win this matchup. We're going to see a double bait. Does the opponent decide to call this here? Weather Ball is going to be shielded. Scorching Sands is reached, and just like that, switch advantage has been flipped. Scorching Sands connects. Down goes Feraligatr. Opponent is going to send in Chestnut. That's what they should have sent into the Hippowdon. I guess they were reading that it might be a double ground team, so they wanted to save the Chestnut for whatever was in the back. But by not sending in the Chestnut, they lost switch advantage, and now their Chestnut is going to be walled by a PUMPKABOO. Chestnut is going to fire off the Frenzy Plant. PUMPKABOO is going to tank that, no problem. They're firing off more energy, and PUMPKABOO still does not care. Another Frenzy Plant will connect. There should be a switch out to Moltres. No switch out. The opponent just going to let the Chestnut get KO'd, and now the Moltres is met with Licky. This game, however, is still not over. Galarian Moltres is devastating with Brave Bird, and this looks very close to Brave Bird range. Is it going to KO the Brave Bird? Does not. The Licky barely clinging on with 1 HP remaining. Body Slam connects, and there's Body Slam number 2. So even with flipping switch advantage, this game decided by the narrowest of margins, but Licky successfully brings home the win. Moving to the next match, leading Pumpkaboo into Diggersby. Both Pokemon with the double resistant fast moves here. Opponent is going to look to strike first with a Fire Punch, and that will do quite a lot of damage. Pumpkaboo farming a very nice charge attack timing here from our battler, going to connect with a Grass Knot. Grass Knot is going to land. Opponent actually does throw on alignment, so they give an entire Astonish for free. The shield from the Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo farming up, will be able to throw 3 and the Grass Knot. Now the opponent does have the Fire Punch. Do you anticipate a throw in alignment here and switch out? Yes. Able to pick up on the opponent's tendency and punish them for it. Very easy catch of the Fire Punch. Opponent now going to send out Gastrodon. And honestly, it's amazing to see Gastrodon here and not on the Licky. Gastrodon will go for a Body Slam. Body Slam not going to do much of anything. So that's very okay. You can no-shield the Body Slam, fire off the Scorching Sands, that connects, and Attack Drop is applied as well. Hippowdon putting in massive work in this mid-game. Scorching Sands is going to be shielded. Opponent is going to get a farm down, but my goodness, the opponent has so many counters to Licky so far. Pumpkaboo should be a wall to the energy from Gastrodon. They go for a Body Slam. That's not going to cut it. Back in comes the Diggersby, but they have no residual energy, so they get outpaced. A Grass Knot is going to pick up a KO. In the back, they have Dunsparce, and finally a Pokemon that does not completely destroy Licky. Dunsparce and a Licky is a very neutral matchup overall, but Licky having a shield advantage should have the advantageous position here in this endgame. Earthquake is going to connect, dealing significant damage to the Dunsparce. Dunsparce going to continue to spam out these drill runs. There's a switch into the Gastrodon. Gastrodon, if they go for a Body Slam, it will not KO, and the Body Slam does not. The switch to the Pumpkaboo, getting the Astonish farm down. Back in comes the Dunsparce, and Dunsparce cannot roll out down. Shundo Pumpkaboo on a rampage there. Not quite picking up the KO, but the Astonish after means game over. Moving to the next match, leading Pumpkaboo into Primeape. Primeape is going to be lightning fast with how quick it gets to these Rage Fists. Pumpkaboo always going to no-shield the first, as future ones will do more, but my goodness, that inflicts some serious damage. Pumpkaboo already on the defensive, forced to give up the first shield of the match. This is now a double boosted Primeape, going for the foul play because Primeape is so frail that even a resisted foul play would still probably come close to KOing. We're going to see a switch out into the Licky to absorb the poorly timed Rage Fist from the opponent, and now Primeape is just going to get outpaced. Primeape chooses to settle for only a Rage Fist. We do actually see a shield from the Licky, but this Primeape is so boosted. Karate Chops have never looked so deadly, as unfortunately, basically the entire health bar on that Licky gets removed. Firing off Body Slam after Body Slam in this matchup, but Superior is up to the task of tanking all this energy, farming down, and Superior's energy is very, very strong into the Pumpkaboo Hippowdon core, which is never a sentence that I thought I would say, a Pumpkaboo Hippowdon core, but that's part of what makes this team very unique. Firing off another Body Slam, actually able to grab a shield from the opponent at a disastrous misplay from the opponent. They let the Pumpkaboo get the foul play. They lose 100 energy, and in the back is going to be Shadow Marowak. Oh, actually a regular Marowak. I stand corrected, non-Shadow. They go for the Bone Club there to deny the energy on the Pumpkaboo, and now it's going to be up to Hippowdon to try and close out this game. Hippowdon is going to be met with a Bone Club. Bone Club not particularly threatening in this matchup, so Hippowdon is able to survive. Hippowdon, this game is going to come down to how much damage does a Scorching Sands do. Opponent is one off the Bone Club. It's going to be close, and there it is, the back-breaking catch onto the 1 HP Licky. The opponent was in a completely one position with all the superior energy, but they overfarmed too much, let themselves get sniped by the Pumpkaboo, and it all went downhill from there. Moving to the next match, Pumpkaboo versus a Clodsire. Clodsire is going to strike first. Pumpkaboo can tank any one move here, so Pumpkaboo is going to no shield as Stone Edge is fired off by the Clodsire. Returning fire with the Grass Knot. Clodsire is monstrously bulky. We're now going to see a switch into Licky Licky. Licky Licky going to be met with Quagsire. Quagsire, unfortunately, is a tricky matchup here for the Licky Licky because your rollouts just do very minimal damage, and unfortunately, this Licky Licky is on Earthquake instead of a potential Solar Beam. The body slams do add up. There's actually a non-Shadow Quag, and I'm very surprised the opponent didn't do 4 in the move there. They could have very easily thrown there, but instead they choose not to, and now the switch timer is almost up. Quagsire is going to go for the Aqua Tail. We're going to see a switch out to the Pumpkaboo trying to snipe, and Pumpkaboo, I think you just let this go. The opponent is going to Stone Edge, but you're able to successfully waste a lot of the energy from the Quagsire. Do you now go for a Sand Attack down? No, instead choosing to bring in the Licky Licky once again. Choosing to preserve that Hippowdon for later in the game. The Aqua Tail is going to connect. Licky Licky is barely able to get that farm down. In comes the Clodsire. No baits here, going straight for the Earthquake. Earthquake delivers the knockout. What do they have in the back? A Swampert. That is not what I was expecting to see at all. The opponent running a double Mud Boy team, and unfortunately, barring a catch, there's just no way to win this game. Hippowdon is going to have to shield everything here because Hydro Cannon just is way too hard. Weather Ball Rock, honestly, at this point will come pretty close to knocking out. I mean, Swampert, it's not the tankiest Mon ever. Hippowdon massively overfarmed, going to fire off the Weather Ball Rock at the Swampert. Swampert is going to commit the shield, and now firing off another bait. Tough call to make for the opponent. They are going to commit the shield. There's an attempted catch, but it's unsuccessful. And this game is unfortunately going to be the first loss with the team. Swampert Hydro Cannon KOs Hippowdon, and that's a good game. Looking to bounce back in the next match, and what a perfect lead to do so, leading into the Quagsire. Opponent safe switches into Mandibuzz, and that will immediately be answered with Licky Licky. Body slams are never too threatening in this matchup, but the biggest enemy for Mandibuzz is the rollout damage. Even though Mandibuzz is monstrously bulky, the rollouts just continually add up so much over time. Licky Licky is going to spam out these body slams, and man, body slam does not look very impressive in this particular matchup. Body slam after body slam connecting into the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz finally below half HP. A Dark Pulse is going to connect. Opponent switches out into Primeape. Unfortunately, there's not a great response available, so forced to send in the Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo no shields the first Rage Fist. The good thing is Pumpkaboo is not really going to be in danger of being farmed down, just due to the fact that it does have the Ghost subtyping, but a +2 Primeape is a very scary Pokemon to deal with. Foul play bait from the Pumpkaboo into the Primeape is no shielded. Primeape takes the Astonish, makes a move with a fraction of HP remaining, and this is where it all goes wrong. Pumpkaboo forced to give up the final shield. In comes the Mandibuzz, the switch to the Licky Licky, and the opponent quick switches out into the Quagsire to absorb the body slam damage. The opponent still with 2 shields to hide behind. This game is looking very difficult to win. Licky Licky firing off the body slam. Opponent does commit the shield on the Quagsire, but Quagsire can very comfortably tank this, and with the energy it has, this should just be a completely unwinnable game at this point. Quagsire will be able to go for a Stone Edge into the Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo is going to be firing off the foul play, so it will be able to grab a shield from the Quagsire, but Quagsire's energy advantage should just be too much here. The opponent switches out into the Mandibuzz, and that's a pretty big misplay. They could have just removed the Pumpkaboo from the field of play, but instead they don't. And that's a pretty massive error. The opponent was in a completely won position, but they end up giving up switch advantage for basically no reason, and now there's a chance they actually lose, because Hippowdon has a Weather Ball Rock and a Scorching Sands loaded. Weather Ball Rock is going to pick up the KO, and Hippowdon wins the cap tie over Quagsire. The opponent was in a completely winning position, but that switch out completely removed any ability for them to win the game. Pumpkaboo versus Shadow Dragonite in the next match. These Astonishes add up a lot on the Shadow Dragonite. Perfect charge attack timing here from the Dragonite. Dragonite will be able to grab a shield from the Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo farming up quite a bit. Unfortunately, can't quite get the farm down, so going to go for the foul play to either knock out the Dragonite or force a shield. Opponent just sacrificing the Dragonite. In comes Dunsparce, choosing to stay in with the Pumpkaboo and look to land a Grass Knot. Grass Knot will inflict some solid damage, and now we see the switch out into the Licky Licky. Licky Licky, down a shield, never going to be shielding a move from the Dunsparce, as you really don't want to go down 2 shields in a game unless you absolutely have to. This looks to be a charge attack priority tie here, body slam against the drill run, and again, Licky Licky, very comfortable no shield here, never even a thought entertained of shielding that move. Licky Licky firing off the body slam. This will be able to pick up a knockout onto the Dunsparce. Does Dunsparce decide to shield back? No, they're just going to let it go. In the back is Toxapex, and this is looking like a very good end game to have a Hippowdon as your final Pokemon. Earthquake shielded up by the Toxapex. There's the switch into Hippowdon. Hippowdon takes such little fast move damage from the poison jabs. Brine is going to connect. If there were no shields in play for Hippowdon, this could actually look a little scary, but with a shield to hide behind, Hippowdon should just be in a completely one position. The Scorching Sands does get shielded, no attack drop this time, but honestly, it's not going to be necessary. Hippowdon gets to commit the shield, get to the Scorching Sands, and this spicy team is able to claim another victim as the Scorching Sands +1 sand attack deliver the win. Hopping into the final match, one last rodeo for the Pumpkaboo, and that's not what you're hoping to see on the lead, leading into Mandibuzz. The safe switch to Hippowdon. Hippowdon is going to fire off the Weather Ball Rock. If the opponent's going to stay in, may as well desync the switch timers, but no, the opponent made a catch onto the Gastrodon, and that's why you can't try and go for CMP ties there. That is a really unfortunate mistake from Professor Baza, and now puts him in a difficult position. Hippowdon, I honestly don't mind a shield here, and he does go for it, because if you get the shield right on that Earth Power, then you can make a play at flipping switch advantage, which is definitely what's needed here. The Weather Ball is going to be shielded. The Body Slam fired off by the Gastrodon. We see the shield from Hippowdon. Hippowdon will commit to a farm down here and gets the farm down. Hippowdon very low on HP in the back. Is that a Jirachi that I just saw? Oh my goodness, the spice from the opponent. They shield up the Scorching Sand. In comes the Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo has to watch for a potential snipe from the opponent. They go for it, but they threw the Snarl. Had they just switched into Mandibuzz and clicked the move instantly, they would have been in a far better position. Instead, the energy lands on Licky Licky, which is where Professor Baza wants to take that move. Dark Pulse after Dark Pulse connect into the Licky Licky. Licky Licky firing off the first of what's going to be quite a few body slams in this matchup. Licky Licky very close to 2 more. This body slam is going to land as the opponent has no shields to hide behind. They're firing off another move with the Mandibuzz. Licky Licky should be able to hang on here. It will be the Aerial Ace. That's not going to KO, making it to another body slam, but this will not be able to deliver a knockout. It will get the Mandibuzz low, though. When do they switch into Jirachi? And there's the switch into Jirachi, but it's quickly met with the Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo, foul play, KOs the Jirachi. In comes the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is going to lose the CMP tied to Pumpkaboo. Oh no, Mandibuzz losing to a grass ghost type. This is a dark day for Mandibuzz enjoyers everywhere. All in all, these are some very fun battles, so many thanks to the submitter for sending them in. As I mentioned at the start, Pumpkaboo, not a Pokemon that I'd recommend investing in if you're looking to gain Elo, but sometimes, if life gives you a Shundo, it's worth it to power it up, try it out, and just see if you can get wins with it. And early season, definitely a good time to do so. So many thanks for sending in the battles, as they were an absolute riot. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.